The universe is a very large place. It contains over 100 billion galaxies. Our galaxy is a spiral galaxy called the Milky Way. Within the Milky Way, there are perhaps 100 billion solar systems. The one we live in is located in the Orion Arm, about 26,000 light years from galactic center. Anyone think it's odd that we don't have a name for our solar system? We could call it Andre or Donna. Anyway, our solar system has 8, maybe 9 planets that travel around a small yellowish star called the Sun. You know, scientists think they have found a new 9th planet. Why don't we just name it Pluto? Then all the old textbooks would be right again. Anyway, the 3rd planet from the Sun is called the Earth. It's mostly water, but there's some land too. On one of the bits of land, there is an area called the United States or USA. The USA is divided up into 50 bits called states. One of these states is called Illinois, and it's located in the Midwestern region of the USA. When I come to think about it, the name Illinois is really a silly name, but I guess we're stuck with it. In the northeastern corner of the state, there's a little town of around 32,000 people called Gurnee. And in the northeastern corner of that town, there is a street named Woodlawn, which contains a small brick house. 3 people live there, a man, his wife, and their daughter. The man is known as Jeff, and he makes a video show he calls Old Man Kelly, because, well, his last name is Kelly, and he's an old man. Well, hello there. Old Man Kelly here. Jeff to my friends, and you can call me Jeff. How we doing? How's life in internet land, I guess? Again, it's been a few weeks since my last vlog, and I've been pretty busy. I've had a lot to do on the weekends. Lately, it's just every weekend seems to be so busy, especially with yard work. My yard, I didn't do a lot of yard work last year, and I'm paying for it this year. And I figure I'd rather, do something, well, that I think is worth doing once in a while than try to crank out vlogs that are just me. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, I've got a new segment. It's called News About Jeff. Let's do that right now. Well, hello there. Welcome to Jeff in the News. We've got some breaking stories today. These aren't actually news stories. These are things I need to go over for work, but I thought it made me look a little more professional. No, this is just going to be a fun segment where I talk about things in my life, which I used to do on my vlog, but I thought I'd just dress it up a little. All right. First bit of news, I got a haircut. Looks a little odd now because I'm wearing this hat. But what's amazing about this haircut is, well, most of you know that I have a problem getting my hair cut. I hate to get my hair cut. I hate the questions. I hate the decisions. A couple times I've gone in there and they've said clippers or scissors, and I have no idea what that means. And I'm like, whatever's easiest for you. And then they actually want me to pick clippers or scissors. And I'm like, I don't care. I had a hairstylist for the first time, I think, ever this week, yesterday actually, that seemed to understand that. Seriously, she goes, do you mind if I use clippers? And I'm like, you use whatever is easiest for you. And she goes, he goes, you just want it short then. I'm like, yeah, and I don't care. And that was it. She understood. The hairstylists just don't get it. I don't care that much how my hair looks. Just make it short. Whatever you want to do, I don't care. I just want it short. This person, for the first time, I think in the history of Jeff Kelly, understood I just want my hair short. I don't really care all that much about how my hair looks. I don't. Am I weird that way? Our next news story has to do with a friend out in Seattle named Rich Harris. Rich is a great guy. He has a great vlog, which you should visit, and I'll put a link to it below. Rich has a family, 2 kids. I've followed him for a couple years now. We communicate through Facebook every now and again. And a few years ago, me and Rich had talked about doing a beer review show where he buys the same beer I do, and through the internet we both do segments and we talk about the beer and we discuss it, that type of thing. And at the time, I just happened to, right after we discussed it and we're getting things going, I got really busy with stuff, and I thought the timing just wasn't right for me. So about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I began thinking, maybe I'll contact Rich and we'll see if we can get this thing up and running again. But lo and behold, I read on Facebook that Rich has given up drinking beer, which I can respect, Rich. That's wonderful. If it's causing you problems, yes, you don't need it. Now, if you give up coffee, then we've got something to talk about, because that's something I can't abide. But beer, yeah, I get it. So I guess that's not going to happen. But Rich, if you ever get in the mood and start, whatever, just let me know. We can get that going, because I thought it would be a great idea. And the last bit of Jeff news is poker news. Tomorrow is the grand championship for my poker league. My poker league is a 12-week league, and you get points for how you finish. And the top 6 finishers get to be at a final table at the end of the year to play. You pay $5 extra each week, and that money goes into a pool for the top 6 at the end of the year. And so, like every year, I make the top 6, not bragging or anything, but and I've won it once or twice. I've come in second a couple times. So tomorrow will be the championship. There's a couple people involved that I know are good players, so we'll see how that goes, and I'll let you know next vlog if I win some cash or not. Anyway, this is Jeff. I've rambled on too long. Jeff in the news. Let's go back to me on the comfy chair. Red flags. I'm big when it comes to red flags. People who say or do something that throws up a red flag saying, do I really want to know this person? Is this the kind of person I want to spend my time with? Do I want any kind of a personal relationship with this person? The more red flags, the more you in your head you say, no, I don't. Maybe they offer a political opinion that's so far out in left field or something, and you're like, well, people are entitled to their political opinion, but that's one red flag. And then they do something else, and that's another red flag. And eventually, there's so many, it's like, well, you're not a person that I'm going to ever want to talk to. So, like if somebody came up to me and said, I like kicking kittens. Well, that's a red flag, but it's such a big red flag. No, if we're not going to ever have I'm never going to invite you over to dinner or go out to have beers with you, that type of thing. The reason why I thought about this is because I was watching SpaceX, their launch they had, I think it was last Monday. And I love SpaceX. I watch everything space related. Any kind of documentary on NASA I watch, and I watch every SpaceX launch. And I usually watch on the SpaceX website. But this time I happened to go back and forth between their feed on Facebook and the website, because I had both windows open. And I was sort of watching the people chatting about it on Facebook, the little comment section. And once the spaceship got into orbit, and you could see the curvature of the Earth there, the conversation turned into an argument between the reasonable people and the flat earther that was on there. I think there was one, maybe there was two. Anyway, if people want to believe that the Earth is flat and not round, as crazy as that is, that's fine. It's the kind of thing that if I was out in a restaurant with you, we could probably have a conversation about it. You're not going to change my mind. And from what I know of flat earthers, I know I'm not going to change theirs, but it might be an interesting conversation. And there seemed to be one going on here. But then the flat earther made the one big mistake, the mistake that would be a huge red flag. She called everybody who believes that the Earth is round sheep. She said there's so many of you sheep out there because they believe it's all a big conspiracy by NASA or the government or whatever. That's name calling, and when I hear name calling, when it comes to anything, I've defriended people on Facebook because they resort to name calling when it comes to their political opinions. That's the name calling. There's a lot of red flags when it comes to politics or conspiracy theories and calling people sheep. And everybody, you see it all the time. the Democrats call the Republicans who watch Fox News sheep, and the Republicans call the Democrats who watch CNN sheep, and flat earthers call the people who believe in what makes sense, the scientifically proven fact that the earth is round, we're sheep. I hate that. That's a red flag, and that's a big enough red flag, really, where I know me, if I would never have a discussion with this person. It would be over right there. All right, the film I want to talk about today is one of my favorite films, a film that I love. Apollo 13. My wife got me the Blu-ray version of it. I watch this. This movie is one of those movies to me that I watch and it flies by. Before I know it, it's over. And there's a few, I don't really like true story movies because usually they stray too far from the truth. This one doesn't. It stays pretty close to the actual story. And any movie that I know the outcome of that still gets me choked up at the end deserves all the credit in the world. And I'm not going to go into the film. It's about the near disaster to the Apollo 13 crew in space when things go wrong. My favorite scene is the scene where, and it's a small scene, but it chokes me up every time. I mean, seriously chokes me up, is when the Saturn rocket first takes off with, Jim Lovell and those guys aboard, and they go to the two wives, Fred Hayes' wife and Jim Lovell's wife, watching it. And Jim Lovell's wife sort of has the uncomfortable, nervous smile on her face, but Fred Hayes' wife is breaking down into tears. It just gets me every time. You could just imagine what she's going through. Anyway, the problem I have now is because I got the Blu-ray edition, there's a lot of extras on here, and I love watching extras. And there's 2 commentary tracks. So now I'm going to have to watch the movie 3 times so I listen to each commentary track because I love commentary. There's one by Brian Grazer and Ron Howard does a commentary track, and then Jim Lovell and his wife do a commentary track. And that should be really interesting. I haven't listened to it yet, but just to hear what they thought about the film is just, wow. Well, I thank you for watching Old Man Kelly. I'll be back soon. I'd like to say next week. I plan on next week, but you know how these things go. You all take care. Bye-bye.
Wow.